It's the Sports Peninsula podcast coming up. The Detroit Lions are a very focused group and showed great resilience in their 42-24 victory over the Carolina Panthers at Ford Field last Saturday afternoon. With a plethora of injuries, the Lions still were able to move the ball at will most of the game and came up with some key turnovers to seal the deal. Next, the Lions face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in an old Norris Division NFC Central matchup. It'll be the Creamsicle throwbacks against the Lions color rush grays with the Mustang blue helmet. We'll talk about it all next. Now, here is your Sports Peninsula team. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Peninsula podcast, and we are the Sports Peninsula team. My name is Drew. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Reminder, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. We got content every week. We look forward to doing a lot more in the future. This is year 6 for us, and we're loving talking about these Detroit Lions. And joining me today to talk about these Detroit Lions, first, Andy Shield, Coach Andy Shield, the Marine City Mariners. And, Coach, before I introduce you, I want to ask you something. Last Friday, special day for the Shield family. Marine City and Utica Eisenhower both accomplished something. Let's talk about that.
Yes, indeed. And we will, and my part of this broadcast is dedicated to the 5-time in a row MAC Silver champion Marine City Mariners. Will be 5-peated with their victory over the Clintondale Dragons, 35-6 over at Cypherline at Billapisa Field at Cypherline Stadium. At Clintondale High School to clinch up the 5th consecutive MAC Silver champion. Congratulations, Mariners. And, yes, young David Shield and his Eagles of Eisenhower probably played in one of the biggest, if not the biggest, matchup in the state of Michigan last week over at Swinehart Field in Utica, Michigan, where the defending MAC Red champion Macomb Dakota Cougars came in to play those Eisenhower Eagles for a claim of the MAC Red Championship. And at around 9:30 at night, the scoreboard read Eisenhower 31, Dakota 0 for a real resurgence into things for the Eisenhower Eagle football program. It was just a couple of years ago that they were 1-8, and things were not looking so good. 2 years removed from that season, they're MAC Red champions. One of the toughest things to accomplish in the state of Michigan in regards to high school football is to win either the OK Red title over in Grand Rapids area in the Ottawa Kent League or the MAC Red title in Macomb County. There's great teams down Justin Way. You have Belleville. You have Southfield. You have Cass Tech. You've got Davison up into the Flint area, East Kentwood, but you have Rockford. That's amazing over on the west side of the state. But pound for pound, it's so equal, and the schools are so big, so many big, strong kids coming at you. And the MAC Red, there's an inch of room between last place and first place. So a MAC Red title is a big deal. Congratulations, Mariners. Congratulations, Eagles.
Yeah, that's special to clinch both of them in the same night, too, Coach. That's awesome. Congratulations to you and to David. Also joining us is Detroit's finest, Justin Miracle. Justin, how you doing?
Pretty good. Lions sitting in a 2-game lead in the NFC North. It was a little nail-biter last night in Las Vegas with the Green Bay Packers, but, the Raiders pulled it off, gave us a little bit of a lead, so we'll take it, and on to Tampa Bay.
Now I'm going to politely correct you. It's actually a 3-game lead because they've got the tiebreaker on Green Bay with the head-to-head. So Green Bay has to actually gain 3 games on them to overtake them. They'll get their shot head-to-head in Detroit, but I don't like their chances. We'll put it that way. For once, it's nice. But we're talking about wins here, but you're right, Justin. That was a big win for the Raiders, and they are a solid 2 games behind. But with that tiebreaker, like I said, they're up 3, and then but the Bears and Vikings both sitting at 1 and 4. I mean, you can't ask for much more at the quarter turn here in this season, but it's interesting, and we're definitely looking forward to talking about these Lions. And what a game, guys! 42-24 over the Panthers. And let's face it, man, this was a depleted group. I didn't expect Brian Branch to play. But it was a bit of a shocker. And then hearing about Gibbs and St. Brown not being able to play, Coach, I know it's next man up, man, but St. Brown's injury definitely concerned me. He's just been so important. When we do our Chalk Talk segments on the SBP film room, we'll be doing another one of those this week as well for this Panthers game. he's just always such an integral part, whether he's actually getting the ball or whether he's the decoy, and he sells it all the time. He doesn't, I mean, he's not taking a play off just because he knows he's not getting the ball. He's important. Your thoughts on this win?
It was, a One Pride member, a Lion fan named Costa on X, and he posted on X, no Jahmyr Gibbs, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Brian Branch, no Manuel Mosley, no Julian Okwara, no Josh Paschal, no Hank Vitae, no Khalil Dorsey, no Jason Kabinda, no Matt Nelson, no James Houston, no James Mitchell, no Chris Gardner-Johnson. No problem. 42-24. We have a full team that we've not seen. In 1991, you took players off the field, it would have been a different story. I don't know if they're 12-4 and go into the NFC Championship game. Some of the other good teams that we've had, if Ndamukong Suh gets hurt, or Matt Stafford gets hurt, or Kelvin Johnson gets hurt, or Barry Sanders gets hurt, big difference.
Yeah.
Those types of pieces are coming off the field off of this team, and you're still having 3-digit victories, or three-score victories. I'm sorry, three-score victories. This roster is chocked full of good players that are coached up and on the same page. This is a full deal, folks. We've got a full team. Yeah. Now, injuries can deplete you, and they can choke you out. Now, if we had critical injuries in certain spots, yes, it would be critical. But really, lo and behold, this team, because really the 53-man roster, including any type of developmental squad additions they add and those kinds of things, they just keep coming. They just keep moving forward. It's super impressive.
Yeah, that's the word that came to my mind. It's impressive. Absolutely. Hey, Justin, your thoughts on this? I mean, I don't think anyone's shocked by the record, but certainly when you read that laundry list of names out for a game, I mean, you're concerned, but man, they're pulling it off. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, yeah, it sucked that, we had, Amon St. Brown out, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, of course, the standout rookie. But, what they did is what they were supposed to do, beat up on a, bad football team, a learning football team. And it's kind of weird. Carolina Panthers, like looking in the mirror at us, it was like us, a couple of years ago or even last year, up and coming, trying to put it all together and whatnot. So very impressive performance. I think the mantra of this team so far and probably the rest of the season will be next man up, because they just don't care. I mean, good teams do that. Yes, it hurts. You lose your star players, you kind of get a little worried, but hey, that's why you have the 53 guys that you have on your team. That's why you have the guys in the practice squad that you have, because you believe in these guys, that you can elevate them and insert them into the game. And that's what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and company are doing. I love it.
Yeah, and let's start talking about some of these guys. And here's the guy. I mean, if you want to call him the straw that stirs the drink, man, Jared Goff is just. It was funny putting this together, guys. I'm like, it's just like the same stat line, almost exactly the same as the Green Bay game. One more completion,
one less interception.
That
is a big change. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. But a 132.4 QBR rating in this game. Jared Goff was just money, and not spectacular, right, Coach? I mean, he's not throwing the ball 70 yards downfield. He's not scrambling and throwing the ball behind his back or looking at the ceiling. He's just making plays. He's just making plays and winning games. What are your thoughts on Jared Goff so far?
Well, this is, one of his better performance. This may be his best performance. The interceptions is a big deal, and that was really good to see a clean sheet on that side of the turnover side of Jared Goff's stat sheet. It was empty this time, and that's the Jared Goff that really is at his peak here. is a guy that throws for high completion percentage, 20 of 28, pretty high completion percentage. No turnovers. He's got when he's just an on the money thrower. I mean, it's just systematic. It's a good enough arm. It's his accuracy that he really looks like he's kind of getting into the groove with. And that's what's good to see is, we saw some missed passes. I know Justin saw the same in previous weeks, where he missed on some throws at times, and it's not to be critical and to like throw him under the bus. No, but we have to be expectant at times, and against teams like the San Franciscos and the Philadelphias in the future. Seattle, we have not beaten Seattle. We haven't. We have to be able to beat teams like that. And then still like Minnesota is going to be. We got them twice post Christmas and beyond. That's going to be a tough game. Green Bay coming in here is going to be a tough game. We need Jared Goff to make throws, and that we saw quite a bit of against the Carolina Panthers.
Justin, what stood out for you in this game with Jared Goff? Coach talked about his accuracy and the lack of turnovers, but anything stand out to you in his performance last Sunday?
Just the way he attacked, the game. There were some instances where, he was under duress and, you live to fight another down or live to fight another day per se. But just the way he, kept grinding, kept going back to the drawing board. He looks like he has excellent rapport and just a connection with the rookie tight end, Sam Laporta. That looks to be a safety valve. You want that as a quarterback in the NFL. You need that safety valve, and it looks like Laporta's it. Still kind of disappointing he didn't really hook up with Jameson. I think time, will come with that and the rhythm and whatnot. But just the way, he commands his offense and the way that he goes about, his business, he doesn't let things get to him. He gets a sack or a ball gets batted down, or like Coach alluded to, he's missing some throws. But you look across the league, a lot of these big time quarterbacks are. Patrick Mahomes even had a little bit of a trouble in Minnesota on Sunday. So I'll live with that. I'll take that's who he is. That's who Jared Goff is. You're not going to get the 50 plus, 45 plus yard, completion. You will, every now and then. But don't expect, fireworks like that from Jared Goff. He's a very efficient passer. He knows where he's going with the football. As long as he takes care of that, and like Coach said, 0 interceptions, that's great. And you win the football game, that's all you can ask really of your star quarterback.
I love what you brought up, the rapport with the receivers, because you can see it. I mean, and we're going to talk about some of these guys in a little bit. But I'm glad you brought up Jameson Williams, because I wasn't going to spotlight him, but let's talk about him a little bit. Coach, I agree with Justin. I would have liked to have seen him get the ball a few more times just to get him a little more acclimated. But I'm going to tell you what impressed me the most about Jameson Williams, and what actually as a fan makes me feel a lot better about him, is that guy got his hands dirty and was making some serious blocks downfield. And I know we'll talk about that in our Chalk Talk. But Jameson Williams made some key blocks, and divas don't do that. Randy Moss didn't do that. And I'm not comparing him to Randy Moss, but the diva type receivers, not going to get their hands dirty with that stuff. Jameson Williams was doing some downfield blocking. He made some key plays. What did you see?
Well, I do look forward to that on the coach's Chalk Talk, or the SPP, coaches room. That's going to be fun to do. And that just shows that's why Brad Holmes drafted him, and he knew that he had that kind of dog in him, and he was going to be a team guy, and he was going to commit himself to the run game. As a blocker, as a wide receiver, and be able to do the little things that really make you a football player and not just a wide receiver that catches a pass catching threat, because that's just one facet of the game. So, they also used him on a decoy on the double reverse, pass. They drew him in. He was the first one to touch the ball. You knew they were rolling up and trying to come, and guys were starting to chase and come back over the top of things. And what that just did is it just opened up that side of the field for the receiver, and to make it real easy for Goff to sit over there when the ball was going to come back to him from Khalif Raymond, and just make a real easy throw. So that had, JMO was a big part of that as well. Yes, the plays will come. Yes, his days are going to come. It's his first game that he's really played since he caught his touchdown, or the couple of games he played last year. So I mean, there is going to be a learning curve here, and we are now hit the ground running good and well by now, and you've got people that have asserted themselves like Josh Reynolds. He's asserted himself. He's a legitimate pass catching threat for this team. Khalif Raymond, maybe he's right there with Amon-Ra St. Brown as the leader of the wide receiver group. I mean, he is right up there, and he is pound for pound as tough and a rocked up, fast player as there is. And then, of course, the aforementioned Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's just outstanding, kind of gives us a Chris Carter, Steve Smith type presence out there. And then you have the veteran who's still kind of a leader, in the locker room and just a great guy, even though maybe, as far as his playing reps now are not quite what they once were. But Marv Jones is still there too. And, he's supported very, very well. He's supported very well. JMO is. He doesn't need to jump up into the fray right now. He needs to become a good football player to the tone of the Detroit Lions. And once he starts to really get into the echelon, you'll see him make plays.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. But now you hit it on the head. He's definitely. I love that you said that, man. He's got that dog in him, and Brad Holmes saw it, and you can see it. And that's got to give some fans some hope. I mean, this is a guy. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. I like that. Hey, Justin, let's talk about David Montgomery. My goodness, this guy is just. I'll be honest with you guys. I liked him in Chicago. I thought he was good. I didn't expect this. I mean, David Montgomery's dominating football games. Now, I know the offensive line's a big part of that, but David Montgomery's making some plays out there. Justin, what did you see? Because 109 yards and a touchdown, that's solid.
Yeah, on Sunday, what I saw was the complete package, running hard, hitting the holes, bouncing it from the outside, the missed tackles. I believe he's number one in the league, or he's up there. I think it's 20-plus missed tackles that teams have had, or haven't gotten them down. So that's a good stat line there. He's just a very hard runner. He can catch the football. He really is a complementary piece to this offense. I mean, if he doesn't go, our offense does not go. Obviously, you need that running attack, and he's serving his purpose well. But the thing that stood out for me, the touchdown, all the hard running, was late in the game when Craig Reynolds was in. He had a big run. Got down. It was, I don't know what down it was, but it was something in goal. And Craig Reynolds was coming to come off for Montgomery. Montgomery, with the running back coach, is saying, no, stay out there, get out there, and scored his first, NFL touchdown. And Montgomery was cheering like he had, scored himself. So not only is he a great football player and a great running back, and one of the better running backs in the league, he's one heck of a teammate. And that just, sends shockwaves throughout the whole team when you see your star running back do that for, his backup, that was not even supposed to be playing, albeit the injury to Jahmyr Gibbs, but that was just incredible leadership by him.
There will be no better point made on this episode than what Justin just said. And he is 100% right about David Montgomery. David Montgomery was the third quarterback on Sunday as well.
Wow.
It's usually Amon-Ra St. Brown, but David Montgomery served that. David Montgomery lives in Grosse Pointe. He found where his local community's team was playing on Friday night. He was at the game on the sideline for the Grosse Pointe South Lakeview football game. This is the type of person he is. And what Justin just alluded to right there, again, this is Brad Holmes' work. This is homework. We have this type of human being and player in this franchise right now. He's an upgrade over what we had, which we loved there too, who they were too, in Jamal Williams. Essentially who he replaced. This is a phenomenal football player. Another phenomenal football player on this team.
I mean, could you imagine, guys, if David Montgomery wasn't maybe 80% of what he is right now? I mean, what would people be thinking because of look at DeAndre Swift in Philly right now? I mean, but Montgomery, nobody's talking about it. I mean, nobody's talking about it.
I'm glad DeAndre Swift for the first time in his career is not hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're going to get. You know, he would be flourishing here too had he, you know, been able to play healthy like that. You know, the great good for him. You know, but yes, you're right. I mean, and Gibbs is a kid that's going to be cutting his teeth a little bit. And I know he's not having the year DeAndre Swift had, but David Montgomery is kind of like you just said, Drew. You said that pretty well. He's kind of covering Swift and Williams all in one fell swoop right now.
Yeah, and I mean, and to think that, you know, Montgomery, you missed a game this year,
yeah,
and then Gibbs filled in nicely. I mean, again, next man up, right? Hey, Justin, let's talk, you know, because Gibbs didn't play. We talked about that. We talked about St. Brown. He didn't play either. Sam Laporta played. He looked pretty good out there. Let's talk about. I'm floored. I mean, I felt he'd be good. I knew he'd be a really good NFL tight end, and I just kind of had that feeling. But this is Pro Bowl type stuff right now. We're seeing out of a rookie in Sam Laporta. Your thoughts?
Yeah, let's rewind the clock and let's go all the way back to draft talk. You know, when Sam Laporta was announced, University of Iowa tight end, everyone's scratching their heads, going, "Why are we doing this again?" You know, everyone was, you know, kind of scoffing at the pick, saying, "Is this another Eric Ebron pick?" Blah blah blah. Well, yeah, you just said it. You're looking at, I believe, a Pro Bowl tight end in his rookie campaign season. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. The blocking, the catching, the running, just the routes that he's producing as well. This kid has it all, and he's a rookie. He is wise beyond his years, and that's why they're giving him more responsibility, more opportunities, and he's a playmaker on this offense. I would put him up over with the Amon-Ra St. Brown with the playmaking ability. He is a threat, and if teams are not game planning for Sam Laporta or even his blocking, because that, you know, sets up, you know, great runs or just great fakes as well, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. I can't say enough about this kid. It's crazy. It's like you're looking at like a 10-year vet, you know, that has just been tearing up the league, and he hasn't. He's a rookie, but yet, you know, here we are. So another credit to, you know, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the scouting staff of the Detroit Lions, you know, doing their homework. Looks like, you know, we found a tight end that is going to serve us well, you know, not only this season, but hopefully for more to come.
Yeah, you're right about that. And Coach, it's a lot more fun to talk about the Lions when they're winning, right? And he's a big part of this. What I know you in our Talk Film Room studies, man, you talk a lot about Sam Laporta's blocking. Your thoughts on Sam Laporta's performance against Carolina?
Yeah, our guy Freddie the Pizza Man Bello was honored at the Lions game on Sunday down on the field. He was, you know, key, you know, private, you know, foundation contributor to a sensory room that's been put in the Ford Field, and he was getting honored, and Lions brought him down there, and he was wearing a Sam Laporta jersey. That's what Freddie was donning there. So I mean, we've got fans, and you know, it's Sam Laporta. The difference between I'm seeing with him and TJ Hawkinson to a certain degree is just Laporta's a little thicker, similar athletic profile. And maybe Hawkinson might be a little bit more, I guess, flexy, but Laporta with his shoulders square is as fast as a receiver. And that's where we see, you know, him get out in the open so well, and him being a yak threat. You know, he does not, you know, those are the things that he's going to help in our receiving core right off the get-go. And then in the run game, he's a different fixture than number 88 was. He's a different fixture than that. He is a little bit more inclined to play in line than Hawkinson is, and that's just basically saying, yes, Sam Laporta is a better run blocker, you know, and really straight up and down. But
keeper too.
You know, and it's not like, I mean, it's like he just makes big plays. He had 3 receptions, 2 of them were touchdowns. You know?
He has a knack for playmaking ability, I would say, over TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
He has that it factor at the tight end position.
Yeah,
where
Hawkinson
he catches the
would be
ball, he can make something happen.
Yeah, Hawkins would be more your 8 for 85 or 7 catches for 85 yards, no TDs. Laporte will have, like you see, 3 for 47 and 2. You know, not a bad guy to have on your fantasy football roster. I know someone that does.
And I'm sure there's a lot of folks on Twitter X that are trying to delete those previous tweets from back in April when they were so down on this selection. They're happy now.
Oh, better yet, there's apology forms that you can fill out now. That's on social media on X that you can, I apologize for my remarks about this certain player.
There'll be some people getting carpal tunnel syndrome typing that out because ugly. But hey, you know what? It's awesome. Great pick. Really, I thought he'd be a 3rd round pick. I was surprised they got him in the 2nd, but can't wait to see more of Sam Laporta. No doubt about that. Justin, you brought up Josh Reynolds, I believe. Coach, you did too. Josh Reynolds, 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. A great touchdown catch. Man, this guy's gone from being a number 3, number 4 receiver who's just got this, rapport with Goff from his LA days to all of a sudden he's really solidified himself as a very key member of this receiving corps. But Josh Reynolds is a threat out there. What were your thoughts, Justin?
Yeah, I'll touch on, you just said it with the LA Rams, Goff and Reynolds' time there. I think the casual fan or most Lions fans kind of forget about that was Goff's guy in LA. So that you're seeing a continuation of that here in Detroit. And again, that's another credit to, Brad Holmes and the higher up in the general manager's office, getting him in here, and the guy just flat out makes plays. I mean, he is a playmaker. He catches the football. You better watch out. He does very good just placement of where he is on the field. I forgot what sequence it was. He caught a pass, and instead of, heading up to the sideline, he turned around and went upfield more. He even got more yardage, than he would have if he went to the sideline. So he has very good awareness of his body and the football and whatnot. So I can't say enough about him. And, if we didn't have him, we would kind of be, stuttering as an offense, because he gives you that deep threat and that medium threat as well, which is nice.
Yeah, you're right, Justin. And Coach, he's not going to – he hasn't been commanding double teams because folks are worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown, or when Jamison Williams now is in the game, or you're worried about the run game. Josh Reynolds is getting a lot of single coverage sets, and he's taking advantage, right?
Yeah, and real sharp kid, and just a smart football player, a true pro. And he what's kind of neat for Josh Reynolds is he has very similar role that he did in college, actually. And he was the wide receiver 2 to Mike Evans at Texas A&M. And he says as much. He understands he's going to get about 5-6 targets. That's it. He's not going to have 8-10 targets like Amon-Ra St. Brown is likely to have. He and like Laporta, Khalif Raymond may get a few more targets than Josh Reynolds. And Josh Reynolds is probably the true wide receiver 2 right now. Just very impactful. And yes, heady plays like that, turning back inside and going upfield rather than just, dipping outside and just taking a sideline for whatever you can get. Those types of things Josh Reynolds made. And I know, on the SPP, Chalk Talk, we highlighted a couple just beautiful catches that he's made. These are good balls thrown in good spots by Jared Goff, but they're still tough catches in traffic, and Josh Reynolds makes them. So yeah, everything leads to Josh Reynolds at that wide receiver 2. Just again is just kind of another definition of the football team. Just a real good football player of substance, in our offense.
Yeah, and I forgot about that, him being at A&M with Mike Evans. He'll get to see Mike Evans next Sunday too, assuming Evans is going to be ready to play. I know he was hurt the week before last, but they've been on a bye week, so I'm sure he'll be ready to go. But that'll be interesting. That's a good point, Coach. Hey, let's talk about Khalif Raymond, Justin. He made more plays again, right? Three catches, 45 yards. And he was part of that flea flicker to Laporta, which was a great play because the Niners ran the exact same play Sunday night against Dallas to George Kittle for a touchdown. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know that people are speculating, did they see it and throw it in their playbook or what, but whatever, it worked. It was pretty neat. But I'll talk about Khalif Raymond's performance.
Just steady at work, another steady Sunday afternoon. But what sticks out for me, and a word that sticks to me with Khalif Raymond, is sneaky. Because if you notice on key third downs, when we need a big third down to keep the drive going, this guy will get open and catch the football and get past the sticks. And I love that about him. He's been doing it quite a bit so far this season. So if you're a Lions fan, you need to pay attention to that, because that is a very key part of our offense, is Raymond finding those little slivers of spaces, and he gets beyond the sticks. Another awareness type of guy like Josh Reynolds. I love that, because we know in recent years or later years, a lot of Lions players, catch a football, whatever, and they would be short of the sticks or whatnot, drive over, got a punt. Not this guy. He knows where the sticks are, goes beyond them, or he's right there. And, he's just that sneaky type of player that you forget about. You're like, oh, crap, forgot about Khalif Raymond. Where's he at? Oh, yeah, he's running down the sidelines.
Yeah, this is a really good point. Hey, Coach, this is not the same old Lions. And I don't say that as false bravado or, #1 pride crap. No, this is legit. This team's different. This team is very different on both sides of the football. Their resiliency, like you said, like you mentioned, when the star players in the 90s, or even in the Stafford Johnson era, if one of those guys went down, it was pretty much ball game. That's it. Not so right now. What's special about this offense to you that you're seeing that's different?
We're not built that way. We're just that the star power is on the interior. The star power wears numbers between 50 and 79.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the big money investments and high picks. Let's go right from left to right. Taylor Decker, first round draft pick. Jonah Jackson, third round draft pick. Correct. Frank Ragnow, first round draft pick. Vitae was a big free agent signing. Graham Glasgow, originally third round pick by the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Penei Sewell, first round draft pick. It's all first and third round picks. And that, we Amon-Ra St. Brown's a fourth round pick. Sam Laporta's the second round pick.
Yeah, second up.
David Montgomery's is a free agent. But a guy like who played significant reps for us last week, Craig Reynolds, undrafted free agent.
53 yards rushing too.
Yeah, a lot of it on that last drive to put the Panthers away. He had a big run on that drive too. But nonetheless, 50 plus rushing yards. In an NFL game is great, and he's done that multiple times. Khalif Raymond is a free agent signing, but I believe he was no higher than he was a deep day 3 draft pick. He played FCS football. He's one of the leaders of the Detroit Lions. And this is not the same old Lions on offense, because really we have committees and rooms of skill position players. Our defensive backfield room, that position group is so chock full of players. They've all had to contribute significally.
Oh yeah.
And I know we haven't gotten to the defense yet.
We're about
to. You now look at, Rodrigo is, he's really primarily a special teams contributor and like a fourth linebacker now.
And it's not a knock on him.
No, he's not playing bad. That's no insinuation. That's no, trying to pit, him against, other players or he was the darling last year and Mr. Carhartt, but now he's nobody. No. That's not what we're saying at all. It's a different position group. Yeah. Again, our defensive line, look how we have all these defensive end and interior defensive tackles that are hurt, and we are still contributing. It's just, phenomenal to see.
Yeah, and before we go to the defense, Justin, Taylor Decker started in his 100th game as a Lion. He got the game ball. He's fighting through injuries. Folks wanted him out of town a couple years ago. I heard a lot of chatter about that. They didn't want him around anymore. I think that's quieted down too a little bit. Taylor Decker is a hell of a football player. And I'll give Bob Quinn credit. That was his first selection as Lions general manager. It's turned out pretty well. Frank Ragnow, that selection. I mean, that one kind of shocked us, Coach, because we were covering drafts at that point. We were like, whoa, not that we didn't like the pick, but we were just a little surprised by it. That's okay. We like that. We loved Penei Sewell. That was a great pick. It's a beautiful thing. The way they built this team in the trenches, it's awesome. Now let's talk about the defense. And I know Bugs and Benito Jones didn't do a whole lot on the stat sheet, but I don't care. I got Bugs on there still. They played a great game. They still held the Panthers under 100 yards rushing. They had 99, but they really held them in check. But Justin, let's talk about this defense. Alex Anzalone, he played a heck of a game. And he's dealing with a real tense situation with his parents in Israel right now, on a church trip, and he's definitely playing with a heavy heart right now, worrying about them. But he played his ass off. Talk about the defense as a whole.
Yeah, what comes to mind when I just thinking about it now, the defense as a whole against the Carolina Panthers was that they came at them in waves. Like, it was relentless. Like, the defensive line to the linebackers, the secondary, Bryce Young being under duress, the pocket collapsing. Aleem McNeil, I believe he's one of the highest graded defensive tackles so far in this 2023 NFL season. So that's great. That's what we drafted him for, and that's what we were waiting for. And he stepped up big time. Had a bit of a slow start to begin the season, but he's really hitting his stride, getting good first steps, getting good pressure. Derek Barnes, I mean, this is the guy that took a step back, possibly 3 steps back last season. Now he's back in the fray and in the mix, starting. Alex Anzalone, that's now my guy. I know I've, ragged on him for many games, but he really makes the defense go. I mean, he's been flying around, batting balls down, tipping balls, getting real physical. And then, like you said it too with Bugs, let's not forget, we were all kind of wondering what was going on in the beginning of the season, when he turned all social media stuff, dark, and we were like, what, is he being traded? Does he want out? No, he stuck with it and showing this coaching staff that, hey, I could play and I could still be a leader to these guys. And he is, like you said, not a big, surprise on the stat sheet or anything crazy, but he just adds that layer of leadership like we've been talking about with this football team. So this group, I believe, is firing on all cylinders.
It's pretty incredible. That's great points, Justin. Coach, it's, you're talking about, Anzalone is his first season in Detroit. The first half of that year, he struggled. Derek Barnes, like Justin said, was looking like, oh wow. I mean, is we just going to be a rookie contract and done here? Not anymore. And to your point, Rodrigo is now playing special teams almost exclusively because he can't get on the field. Jack Campbell's getting his opportunities. And we saw Jack Campbell, Coach. Let's talk about Jack Campbell, but he's not on the sheet right now. But, against the run, he's stout. Saw some issues, and we're going to talk about one play in particular where he got beat on a touchdown in the Carolina game when we do our Chalk Talk episode. But Jack Campbell's getting some reps. But, man, as overall, look at Will Harris. 9 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. Will Harris is one of those guys who was like borderline, is he going to make the team a couple years ago, honestly, because he really was starting to falter. But, man, he stepped up and making plays. Like you said, it's that next man up mentality. But, Coach, your thoughts overall on this defensive performance?
Yeah, and I just harken back to the game the night before in the Twin Cities, where the Wolverines went in with the brown jug and defended it well, defeating Minnesota 52-10. And Coach Harbaugh keeps on talking about the we fence, and that's what he calls the defense, is the we fence, because there's we the people. We have so many different players that are out there playing. I think they played like 28 players in the first half. And the Lions kind of have that mantra too. They don't have a defense; they have a we fence. You know, it's every man do your job. Doesn't matter who you are, regardless of where you fit on this roster or within your position group. You can be out there and do your job. In regards to guys like Benito Jones, I call him Farmer Jones. He likes to wear lederhosen and things like that. But Ike Buggs, Kaminsky, these guys, and the interior, they make plays, not tackles. Oftentimes they're out there. They're the guys making the play, not the tackle. The linebacker gets the tackle. But, they're out there doing these things. Our edge play has been phenomenal. It has been fantastic. The sacks that we've generated, this wasn't a big sack day, but we got a couple. We hit home a couple times. And then, of course, we forced, Hutchinson, kind of just reacted to a play that Bryce Young wishes he probably could take back. He made him turn it over, which was phenomenal. Guys like Jerry Jacobs, out there making their picks. This is another undrafted free agent. All he does is come up with a pick a game, it seems like. And then, getting into Hutchinson here, he had one quarterback sack and one pick. I mean, he also is out there making plays at times, not tackles. I talk about that with one of our strong ends with the Marine City Mariners, young Colin Gabler. He's not big on the stat sheet, but he's very forceful and impactful on the field and making plays. And he's just positionally correct and square and reducing gaps and keeping things inside the defense, which oftentimes don't get put on the stat sheet. So, and again, Hutchinson, one interception and one quarterback sack, it's like being 2 for 5 with two home runs. Those are still pretty big stats. But, that's also kind of the hallmark of good defense, is that you have playmakers, not necessarily stat makers.
Yeah, you're right about that. And Justin, we talk about Hutch. We brought up Jerry Jacobs. He had 4 tackles and interception. Guys, is he not leading the league in interceptions right now? Tied for the league?
He's tied. Yeah, he's tied for the league lead. And just like we talked about earlier with the sorry form, there's a lot to fill out there on social media. Those forms are being passed out now on X for Jerry Jacobs and his naysayers. Just can't say enough about him, man. He's battled through it. He's had some bad games, he gets beat, gives up a lot of yards, but he is just resilient and he just goes to work. And look what happens when you don't give up, you don't quit, stuff comes your way, and he's making plays, making tackles. Obviously the interception, that was nice. He's very, just very aware a lot of the times. And he might get beat here and there, but who does it in the NFL? It's the next down mentality. Hey, we're going to attack them, on the next one. So, and he's a big key factor, because look at Emmanuel Mosley out, for the season, and, some other guys that couldn't fill that spot. So, we're kind of leaning on Jerry here, and he's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah. Losing Gardner Johnson for the year. And I mean, I feel for Emmanuel Mosley. I mean, my gosh, he took 2 snaps. He busted his ass to get back on that field, and 2 snaps on non-contact injury, and he's out for the year again. It's the other knee. So we're wishing the best for him, certainly. That's a tough one. But again, Lions win 42-24 with Carolina. Now, we go not to the old sombrero, but we're going to Raymond James Field to take on the Buccaneers, who will be in their Creamsicle uniforms. And we'll be seeing this bad boy with the Grays. So most important thing is we want to get a victory here. And Coach, what's it going to take for the Lions to win in Tampa Bay? It's a pretty good football team, and they get Mike Evans back. They're going to be tough.
Well, it's going to be pressuring Baker and making Baker do the things that's gotten to be playing for his 4th team in his career already, which is to turn the football over. That it's going to be to create some pressure and do that. We obviously, we have been playing great run defense, in some ways historic run defense for the Detroit Lions. We need to keep that obviously, that mantra going, that's almost a given with this group, but it's to kind of create some pressure on Baker Mayfield, and let's get the ball back into the offense's hands. Now, what do we need to do on the offensive side of the ball? And it's just, pure, plain and simple is do what we've been doing: rush for over 100 yards and create turnovers on defense. It's just basically, don't turn the ball over and win the time of possession. Well, this is another way of saying that. It's create a turnover or two, don't have any turnovers, and have over 100 yards rushing, which means, we've been bleeding the clock and probably moving the football down the field on the old Sombrero, Culver house owned, McKay run, McKay coached Tampa Bay Buccaneer era, Wayne Font's assistant coach era.
There you go.
Tampa Bay Buccaneer in their uniforms of that era. It's going to be neat to see those again.
I hope we see the big buck there. I would hope he'd be there. He came into town for Barry's statue. I would think he'd be there.
If he's of right mind, he's going to be wearing Honolulu blue, not pewter and reddish orange.
Yeah, the Rasputin, as Chris Berman called him, right? We talked about that last week too. Hey, Justin, I'm telling you what, I'm looking at Tampa offensively. Baker Mayfield's got a 101.5 QBR rating right now. They're 3-1. They're the surprising leader of the NFC South. This team's no joke. What do you think it's going to take?
I'll add to Coach's point is, need to get to Baker Mayfield. That's going to be a little bit of a tall task because, his left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, I think he's only given up a few pressures along with Penei Sewell, and, he's up there with tackles in the league. So that's going to be, tough to do there. But I believe we have the right players, to get that done. You need to make this team one-dimensional. Stop the run. Take it away. Rachaad White, you got to watch him because he can also catch the ball as well. He did a lot of that at Arizona State. Tom Brady last year kind of leaned on him a little bit for a lot of those plays. So if they kind of just shut that down and make Baker just, do 5-7-step drops and, try to scan the field and throw the football and disrupt him, I think we can win this football game. Now, looking at it from the other point of view, our offense going against the defense, Tampa Bay's only given up 17 points a game so far on average. So I believe if we find a way to score 20 points, we're going to win this football game. What you're going to have to do is spread them out. They have a great linebacking core with, Devin White, Shaq Barrett. These guys are just phenomenal. Their corners are very good. Carlton Davis, phenomenal corner. The safeties, they're all at each level. They're great, and they're going to have to control Vita Vea. He's a pressure maker. You're going to have probably a lot of, hopefully if Gibbs is back, I would say some screens. Even Jameson Williams, some jet sweeps, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You need to get this defense on its heels because if they kind of pick up on what you're doing and they can kind of just pin their ears back and go after Jared Goff, it's going to be a long day in Tampa Bay. So I believe if we get all these key points done and they find a way to score 20 points a game or 20 points in this contest, I believe they can come away with a victory. Yeah,
you guys made some great points. And White definitely carries the load, so to speak, on offense in the running game. They've beaten the Vikings and the Bears. They did win on the road twice already. They beat the Saints. That's a big win. That's a divisional win for them. That's a pretty good football team. They did lose to the Eagles 25-11. They're a good football team. I think the key is going to be the offense has to start, and really it hasn't been a concern. They've been starting early and often. The Detroit Lions, again, this isn't same old Lions. In the past, and even the Barry era, there's certainly the Stafford era, and first halves didn't go too well. Second half adjustments didn't exist. Fourth quarter manic hair on fire comebacks did. And that's how games were won. This year, the Lions are gaining control of the game early, maintaining it. They're taking the opposition's best shot on the chin in the third quarter, and they're holding up. And then in the fourth quarter, it's ground and pound, wear you down, and they can do it. They can roll two sets of defensive lines out there. You pointed that out, Coach. The Detroit Lions win in the trenches, but they're also winning with their skill position people. I think this game is going to be 31-27 Lions. I think it will be a close game. I could see Tampa getting that touchdown late and trying an onside kick, trying to get the ball back, and the Lions prevail. I'm getting real finite here, but honestly, I think the key is to see Gibbs and Williams together on the field, or it's in this game, and that could happen. I don't know about Gibbs. St. Brown definitely sounds like he's very likely to be a go. So to get St. Brown back with Montgomery, with JMO, with Laporta, and with that old line, I mean, Tampa's got a good defense, but you can't handle all that. There's going to be opportunities for Reynolds and Raymond because if you want to take away those guys, that's okay because we've got these other cats that can play too. I just think the Lions honestly are just too much right now offensively, and I like Tampa's offense, but I don't like their offense against the Lions. They're not going to be able to run the football like that. I don't believe Baker Mayfield will have to beat them. He's good. He's very good. I mean, I think there was a local sportscaster out here who wanted to trade Stafford for him straight up after his first game. I think it was Jeff Rieger, coach. Nah, not a good idea. But Baker Mayfield is a solid quarterback, and he can win football games. So that's how I'm seeing it. Guys, how are you seeing? I'll start with you, coach. You see a Lion win this Sunday?
I do see a Lions victory because I think we're going to get a little bit healthier in certain areas, which is going to obviously help. You know, that injury report is really, really hard on the Lions, as it is for every other team. Even though we've just talked about how resilient that they have been, we are going to get some players back, and that are going to be helpful. You know, we can't be over expectant as fans. You know, we're they say we're going to go 16-1. Would be kind of a delusion of grand, and our only loss would have been an overtime loss to the Seattle Seahawks. You know, hey, I mean, things can happen, but I don't think that's how that's going to play out. Could they lose this football game too? I think they could. Just because, you know, it's just, you know, a departure. It's down in, you know, West Florida. You know, I don't know what the weather's going to be like. You know, if there's any, you know, rain in the forecast, you know, we haven't played in a warm, rainy game. We haven't played, you know, we played Pat Mahomes, you know, Geno Smith gave us some trouble, but, you know, Des Ridder and Bryce Young, who's, you know, very much learning at this point in time in his career. You know, this is probably a little step up, more into, you know, towards Pat Mahomes, you know, in the Geno Smith category, I would say. I'd say that's very fair. You know, different type of a quarterback. So this is a guy that could do some different things. I'm going to go 38-24 Lions. I just think the offense is just a buzzing. I think it's a buzzing. And, you know, if it is rainy, we'll run the football. And if it's not, you know, we'll be balanced, and we'll have some things through the air as well.
I like that. Justin, how are you seeing this one?
I just think this is going to be a tough, gritty game. Like, you know, we just talked about Tampa Bay's defense. They are nasty. They do get down and dirty. They're very good tacklers. They're very aggressive. So I think it's going to be just kind of like a slugfest going back and forth. But I have the Lions coming away here 28-24.
Like that too. The other key injury of note right now is Jonah Jackson. He was seen in a walking boot after that game. Now, Big V is available. He did not play, didn't need to. Graham Glasgow held the fort down. Possibly Graham Glasgow is going to have to slip over to left guard, and Big V is going to get in there. Not a big deal putting Big V back in there because he was starting. He's a hell of a football player. I think Graham Glasgow is that versatile. He can handle it. That's the kind of player he is. But certainly that's an adjustment to make when you go from the right side to the left side. Sewell had to do it. It is like play. It's like mirror opposite, right? Coaches, everything's opposite, and it's not easy to do. So,
nope, got to put a different hand in the ground. All of it. Got to stagger your stance differently. You're pressuring off of a different foot. It is.
Yeah, it's the finite stuff in football that we just as fans we don't necessarily see it all the time, but you see it all the time, Coach, and I know you know. So if we're looking forward to this one, we get to see the Mustang blue helmet. We get to see the creamsicles. And bring me back to the Doug Williams days, right, when they used to break our hearts at the Silverdome. I remember that. I don't want to talk about that too much, but
Ricky Bell and
Jimmy Giles, those guys. Oh yeah, I remember
the Selman brothers and
Huey and Leroy. Yes, Tampa's got a rich history. No, but they are. I mean, it's fun, and it used to be a pretty big rivalry when it was the old NFC Central, or as Berman called it, the Norris Division, which was kind of funny. But we're looking forward to this one. Hopefully the Lions go 5-1. Guys, great talking to you again. Always love talking Lion football, especially when we're talking about wins and the way this team's playing. Even when they're not maybe at their best, they're fun to watch and so fundamentally sound. It's just they're a really fun football team. Week by week. Let's take it week by week. So for Coach Andy Shield, the Marine City Mariners, and for Detroit's finest, Justin Miracle, and I am Drew. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, give us some feedback as well. We love to hear from you all, and take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. To subscribe to the podcast, simply click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel's homepage and give us a like. You can also follow our audio podcast on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @SportsPodcast to check out our latest releases. Thank you again for watching and for your support. Remember, when you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one Sports Peninsula Podcast.